Hey, what up guys, it's your boy Alter Tech back again with a new video. In today's video, I want to tell you guys, just break it down for you. So smartphone photography, it's just 99% all marketing right now. And I'm going to explain to you guys why I'm saying this. Like I'm losing my mind in some sense on Twitter. I tried to join back Twitter and, hang out with the smartphone tech community. And it's just back to like, hey, this photo looks better than this one, or this one is better. This is a great photo. And I want to explain to you guys what exactly is going on. So just a quick background. Yes, I went to Rutgers School of Engineering. I got my engineering degree in electrical and computer engineering and applied sciences. And I've been testing out smartphone cameras since back on the Galaxy S2. That was the first phone to open up my eyes and show me that, wow, you don't really need to bring or buy an expensive camera to take some, good photos. So let's go ahead and break it down. So this is exactly what's going on. So a lot of people out there, let's talk about the average consumer. The average consumer, the manufacturers, they know for sure now. The average consumer can't tell the difference between a photo taken with this magnificent beast and your phone. So why is that? The best analogy I could give you guys is with wine testing. So I'm not a wine expert, but if I were to go ahead and the wine shop right now and pick out a wine that costs like $10, but for me it tastes really damn sweet and I think it's awesome for a wine expert might go ahead and say, hey, this wine is pure garbage. So why is that? Well, it's the sugar, it's the artificial flavoring, it's the cheapness to it. Meanwhile, he might go ahead and pick up a $500 wine and I might taste it and like, hey, this is bitter. This doesn't really taste that good. This is where we are at with the average consumer. And the average consumer is the ones who make these manufacturers money. So, why should the average consumer, why should I buy a $500 wine if I can't see the difference or taste the difference? I'm not a wine expert. And the average consumer with their phones are like, hey, I'm not a photography expert. Why should I pay $2,000 for a phone when I'm okay with these photos right here, which is perfectly acceptable. You're buying a phone to be a phone. You're not buying a professional camera. So how does the sugar, correlate to the phone? Well, saturation, artificial details, brightening up the photo, increasing the exposure. A lot of people judge a photo basically by the color. Like if I took a photo with this and this, a lot of people might choose the photo on the iPhone. They might say, hey, I like the colors on this. I like how my skin came out. I like the skin tone. I know things like that. And that's where we are right now. So what's going on with the smartphone manufacturers out there? They're just pretty much just marketing, milking it right now. These cameras are the iPhone 16 Pro. You're going to get the much bigger camera sensors, which is going to provide a better low light experience. It's going to give you better low light performance. And why is low light performance a huge metric when it comes to photography? It is because when the sun goes down, when the light goes down, your camera sensor, the bigger it is, the more light it's able to capture. So there's this thing called noise. And I'll show you guys right now what happens when you take a photo in dark situations. You could tell the photo just looks bad. And in bright, sunny days, photos look amazing. You can't really tell the difference between whether it's a professional camera that took it or your phone. So let's go ahead and dive down into a low light scenario. And I'm going to use the Pixel to demonstrate this. And if you were to go back in time, how were smartphone manufacturers trying to show off the low light performance? Well, it was you take a shot and it would take some time. It would leave the shutter open for like a couple seconds and then take it. So the brighter the image, the better the picture was, the better the camera was. And that was the smartphone community. But as the smartphone manufacturers start to realize the average consumer, they're pretty much photography dumb in some sense. This is what they're doing right now. We're going to give you bigger camera sensors, but instead, this is what's going to happen. This is a photo that's taken in RAW. It has no software processing done to it. If I were to zoom in into the chairs, there's a lot of noise. So what is noise? You guys see all that? It's like a purplish, bluish distortion in this image. This is noise. So the better the camera, like with the Sony A7 III, If I took a photo with this, you guys would have been able to see the details on this chair, like the little, if it was leather, the little fine wrinkles and stuff, you guys might have been able to see that. But in the photography world, this is what Apple is actually doing. They are going to, there's this thing called black point. A lot of people on YouTube, they're saying, hey, they have a higher contrast. It's not just a contrast, it's called the black point. And this is what Apple is doing. So if you were to lower this and zoom into that chair, everything is gone. It's a void, right? You can't see anything. It's like me taking a black Sharpie marker and drawing over this chair with it. And I mean, that's one way to get rid of it, but you're paying extra money to get bigger sensors, which is supposed to give you more detail in low light situations. But now your software processing, it's actually just blocking out the darker areas. So what exactly are you getting? It's just to me, it's a terrible balance. In some instances, it might work, it might come out well. In other instances, it might not do well. So let me give you an example. It's my going away party in New Jersey. I got the IT squad with me, having a good time. I have the iPhone 15 Pro Max. And this is an image that I took with the ultra wide camera. And as this has no edits. If I were to go in the darker areas, there's nothing. It's just pure dark. It's like a black Sharpie marker was just written over it. And then the average consumer is like, oh my God, it's the iPhone. It has great cameras, has great detail. And this is the ultra wide. The ultra wide on 15, I don't think it's as good as the 16. But this is what I'm getting in low light situations. And people, even those with the black shirts, even though they're like, right closer to the light, it's still, all that detail is gone. There is no, look at this guy's t-shirt. You can't tell if he ironed his shirt or not. It's just straight up pure darkness. And the average consumer at this point, they're not really nitpicking. They're just going to watch a video on YouTube and figure out for themselves whether or not they like it or not, and listen to what they say. I've seen an iPhone 14 come out and an iPhone 15 come out, and I've seen a reviewer do a side-by-side test. The images look exactly the same. In some cases, the older phone looks better, but the person continues to say that, oh man, the 15 or 14, the newer one is an improvement, and you can clearly see more detail when it's just more sharpening. And that's another issue. Well, another way smartphone manufacturers try to trick people to thinking it's a better photo by adding over sharpening to their images, so we think there's more detail. So let's go back to the pixel image and let me show you what. Okay, I'm not complaining. Okay, if I was Apple, if I took really strong pride in photography, what I would have done, I would have figured out a way to either implement a better noise reduction software. And let me show you guys what I'm talking about. This is the Google Photos built-in software editing app. And let me go back. Let me bring this back up. This is the noise that we have, and it's unedited. So if I took this with auto mode, this would have been much better looking. So raw mode gives you more room to edit the photos because it has more information. So let's go ahead and go to the denoise function. So this denoise function, let's go ahead and zoom into that couch and see what happens. So no edits, and then when we turn it up, everything gets smoothened out. This is a cheap software version, but let's go ahead and talk about a more expensive premium software. I hate to say it, but Adobe, I'm not a big fan of what they've been doing, but Adobe Lightroom, this is the image unedited. Let me go ahead and undo everything. Let me go ahead and reset everything. This is the same image, right? Raw image. And let's go ahead and zoom in to this chair. All right, we see that noise, lovely. And tap on detail, tap on noise. And now let's use their noise reduction tool. I'm gonna go ahead and crank this up. Everything gets smoothened out. It actually looks a lot more smoother. And the color, it looks much more preferable than that Google stock camera app. And even if we zoom back out, guys, we can see the words perfectly. It even looks more clear than on the Google editing app. And this is amazing, right? So you don't have to do what Apple does. You don't have to go into the light section and the black levels. You don't have to pull that down. So this image to me looks great. So I don't expect the iPhone to take photos as good as this, but for the software processing side, I thought it was just a cheap way to take better photos in low light situations. And the photos aren't even that better. You're losing out on detail. It's just covering up the things you don't want to fix. The future of smartphone photography, right? Where are we going to go? That's going to go with AI. I'll get to that in just a minute. But the OnePlus 13 came out, and on Twitter, all I could see is people posting photos. I was guilty of it. I was a big OnePlus supporter. I was a fanboy, and I just wanted them to, get some success and make better phones and make the best phone with the best smartphone cameras. That did not unfold. Things happen, but it is what it is. But now I think I'm in a better place. I'd rather just see it for what it is. I don't think being a fan of anything really gets you anywhere, number one. Number two, I do believe that when a manufacturer gives you a free phone to try out or something, you cannot make a true review. You have to go out and get your device. You have to pay for it. A lot of you guys might argue with me, like, listen, I understand it. You guys have bills to pay. It's very hard for a content creator to keep up with everything because money-wise, there's times, seasons where your revenue goes up and when it goes down. So I understand it. You have wife, kids. I completely understand it. But to be honest, to make a truly solid review, you have to have no ties to a company, and I've learned that. And I'll admit, in the past, I've been kissing OnePlus's butt a lot because I really wanted to see them do good, and I was in the community and everything like that. But let's go back to smartphones. So on Twitter, a lot of people are posting all these images with the OnePlus, and they're saying, hey, this phone takes the best photos. Some people are saying the Pixel takes the best photos. Some people might say the iPhone takes the best photos. Comes down to preferences, and most people, they just want something that just looks good in their eyes. It doesn't have to be the best wine that you're drinking. As long as it tastes good for them, that's where we are at. So smartphone manufacturers, they know this, and they can get away by releasing a new phone and downgrading the camera sensor and tricking you and saying, hey, well, now we have this 5 megapixel selfie camera with AI built into it. And then you're going to be like, oh, you're the average consumer. You know nothing about AI. You know nothing about photography. You know nothing about image quality. And then you're going to buy into it. And then people like me are probably just going to get upset and they're like, what's going on? Like, photography, I love it, but this is like a sort of a kick in the face. Like, you're not really, you just said you're going to give us better cameras, but now you're downgrading it. And most of the people don't really care. So we're in that little messy situation. But this is where we could go in the future. So we could go in a future where we have that same raw image and we have AI come into the picture, and they use their generative ability to add fake details on that couch. And they're able to make that photo look as real as possible, as if it was taken with a Sony A7 III. Okay, this is a great example. Let's say I'm out and I'm at a wedding. Someone paid me $5,000 to take photos at their wedding, and I left my camera at home. And I'm like, oh no, what am I gonna do? So I'm there, I'm hidden in the background, and I'm taking photos with my iPhone in RAW. And what the AI is able to do is able to alter those photos, because it's gotten so much smarter and so much good at what it does. It's able to make people, even professional photographers, think that this camera took the photo and it wasn't this one. It's able to use generative AI to add details. The AI camera is able to enhance everything, and people are just going to be like, hey, we don't really need this anymore. I just need my smartphone. I don't care if some of the details are fake. I love how it looks. That's me in the photo. That's my friend, my cousin, that's them in the photo. And I love how it looks, and it's going to look great on my Instagram page, and that's that. So this is where we're going. And for me, just to keep my sanity, there is no crazy good smartphone camera. There is no best camera. It's all software processing. So in conclusion, guys, this is what I'm saying. I'm not going to drive myself crazy on social media and then, to watch people post photos and say, hey, this is the best photo ever with the OnePlus 13 and this is that, and low light experience is phenomenal, when they're just copying Apple in some of the photos I'm seeing and darkening, increasing that black level or decreasing it so that all that detail gets wiped out with a black Sharpie marker. I am not going to be part of this. And for me, I guess my calling, it might be with just, shooting in RAW with these phones, because Apple and Pixel and Samsung, they also let you shoot in RAW. But this is where Samsung is going to be the best option for you, because they do have that Snapdragon processor, and editing in Adobe Lightroom is very CPU power intensive. So if that made any sense, it uses a lot of power, right? And the Snapdragon 8 Gen 4, it's the fastest chip on the market for the Android side. The Apple iPhone, you could use this as well, but the Samsung has their dedicated Expert RAW app. And speaking of Samsung, I'm recording the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra right now. You know why? Because the selfie camera on this camera, to me, it's better than the one on the S23 Ultra and 24 Ultra. It might be better than the one on the S25 Ultra. This has higher megapixels. I know megapixels isn't everything, but when I'm recording, I just look better for some reason in video and in photography, and there's just much more detail and with this camera. So smartphone manufacturers, they feel like, hey, we could save some money, bring the phone down a little bit, and make the consumer happy, so the average consumer happy. And that's where we are at. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. I hope this opened your eyes up a little bit, and I'm just not going to be a cheerleader anymore. I'm not a fanboy of any brands anymore, and I'm just going to enjoy life. Thank God for what I have. Stay humble, and just try my best, because that's all we can do right now. Just try our best and be a good person. So the Pixel 9 Pro, the iPhone 16 Pro, great phones. It's just that auto mode, Apple's software processing that has me bugged out, and with OnePlus following it as well. And people, the marketing people and reviewers, just doing these silly side-by-side images, not really understanding image quality. So now the question is, where should I take this channel? I'm thinking maybe, instead of just arguing with people like, hey, this has the best cameras, that has the best cameras, doing these side-by-side, even these side-by-side photos, guys, I could take 5 photos with these two in the same spot, and those 5 photos most likely might not come out the same. If I do that 5 photos with this camera, they will all come out the same. You know why? Because of the software processing. This thing is thinking. It's trying to figure out what should be done, how the HDR, everything is going on in these. A lot of processing is being done. So it's not really fair to do the side-by-side comparisons. And on top of that, these manufacturers are rushing to get these phones to you, and the software, camera software to be exact, is not ready. They have to do a lot of testing, so they're pushing out these phones and they're making all these claims that, hey, these cameras are better, when it takes a couple months for the camera sensor, when in fact it actually takes a couple months for the camera software to be finalized. So for example, it took me a couple months to enjoy the photos on the Pixel 9 Pro over the Pixel 8 Pro. For most of the time, I kept choosing the Pixel 8 Pro. I was like, it looks better, colors look better, so they weren't done with the software. So that's where we are with the OnePlus 13. People are calling it the best smartphone camera, and it is what it is. At this point, it's all marketing. Most of the reviewers out there, it's just marketing. Content creators, I'll say that. And for the science, the image quality, things like that, I think this channel would probably be best if I were to go ahead and teach you guys how to take the best photos with your device. So at the end of the day, they're just going to tell you a bunch of stuff about the cameras, and you're just going to have to believe them. Or you could go ahead and subscribe to my channel, and I'll try to give you guys the full honest truth and give you guys full analysis, and try not to, have these phones go up against each other, but actually teach you guys how to take the best images with your phone. Some of you guys prefer the iPhone, some of you guys prefer Android. It shouldn't be a battle between, who has the best cameras at this point. It really should be how to take the best photos with your phone. Anyways, guys, this is Alter Tech. Hope you guys have a great and wonderful day. Hope you guys subscribe and join me on this new journey with smartphone photography. Have a great day. Stay blessed. Peace.